filming with my hair tied back today because A, my fringe is pissing me off, and B, my hair is, I should have washed it last night. So you get ponytail jazz. Hi! Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. It's something that I have talked about a few times as being a kind of type of video that I would like to make more of on my channel, and today is my first attempt at doing that. I'm rambling because I don't even know where to start with introducing this, but today we are going to get critical.
Let's get critical.
And we're going to be getting critical with The Handmaid's Tale. I'm going to be sharing with you guys 5 quotes from The Handmaid's Tale that I think are important and why. So without further ado, let's jump into it. I don't really know how to introduce these quotes. I think I'm just gonna say them. So let's do it. Ordinary, said Aunt Lydia, is what you are used to. This may not seem ordinary to you now, but after a time, it will. It will become ordinary. One of the main themes that Margaret Atwood explores in The Handmaid's Tale is the causes and the reasons why someone might become complacent, even in the face of injustice. Why is it that everyone just seems to be so accepting of their plight? And this quote basically is like an introduction to that kind of causes of complacency theme. If ordinary is just what you are used to being in your everyday life, when something becomes ordinary to you, you just accept that as the way it is, and you don't really look beyond the way it is for the reasons why maybe it shouldn't be the way it is. Better never means better for everyone. It always means worse for some. So this quote is being used as a justification for some seriously social horrible things that are going on by saying it may not be better for you, but you are just the sum for whom it is worse. You need to sacrifice that in order for it to be better for the population as a whole, and this is what is needed for the population as a whole. It's actually a topic that if you've studied law in high school or even in university, you've probably come across it, which is like this liberal harm principle. In less dramatic or less extreme senses, this principle is actually one that we genuinely base most of our laws off in society today. A less extreme example would be speed limits. Like, we give up our freedom to choose what speed we should go at in order to make sure that we have some kind of contingency plan in place for people who risk other people's safety by choosing speed limits that aren't safe. So it can be a really good principle, but this book obviously explores the ways in which it can be exploited and used in harmful ways, particularly in ways in which it might be used as an excuse for something that actually isn't only worse for some, it's actually worse for most people, or it's worse for everyone. Truly amazing what people can get used to as long as there are a few compensations. So this is another quote that talks about that causes of complacency theme that is quite prevalent in The Handmaid's Tale, because the main character, at first she is quite critical of her position in society and she's critical of the society as a whole. When she starts having this affair with one of the other members of the household, she even describes herself how complacent she's become. And I think this quote, even though it's not used in that particular context and it's not used in talking about that particular relationship, I think those two kind of tie together really well to paint this portrait of potential causes of complacency. There is more than one kind of freedom, said Aunt Lydia. Freedom to and freedom from. In the days of anarchy, it was freedom to. Now you are being given freedom from. This, to me, in particular, is a quote that really embodies this concept of language as a tool of power, which is another one of the main themes that Margaret Atwood explores in The Handmaid's Tale. It's kind of exploiting the word freedom in order to keep people from rising up against their lot in society. So she's trying to argue that this stripping away of certain freedoms has actually been replaced with a new kind of freedom, and supposedly a better kind of freedom for women that entails more respect for women, even though what it really is just using the word freedom and playing around with it and changing its meaning in order to basically use it as a tool for exploiting women. I avoid looking down at my body, not so much because it is shameful or immodest, but because I don't want to see it. I don't want to look at something that determines me so completely. And this is the final and most important theme in The Handmaid's Tale, of course, and that is women's bodies as political instruments. How it is that an entire sex, that is women with uteruses, have been exploited simply as a tool for the sake of society. They are no better than machines or than crops or than water or other resources that a society uses in order to survive and be profitable. So this quote in particular embodies that because she's talking about the fact that she no longer has any kind of emotional ties to her body. It has simply become this tool that other people see simply as a resource for the country in order to profit from. This is obviously the main theme in The Handmaid's Tale, and it's a very important one to talk about, not just in terms of respect for women and women's rights, but also in terms of human rights in general, because it's something that we have done in the past. Slavery is another form of exploitation of human bodies as a tool at the expense of human freedom. It's basically taken that very real concept that we should be familiar with, it's reapplying it to a different group of people, which kind of forces you to take a step back from it and actually recognize it for what it really is. And that's why I've always viewed The Handmaid's Tale as being such an important book, and why it is one of my favorite books, in spite of the fact that it's not in any way an enjoyable read. It's a very bleak read and it's a very confronting read. So I hope you enjoyed this video talking about some of my favorite Handmaid's Tale quotes. I have made a blog post hopefully articulating my thoughts on these quotes better, including some bonus quotes from The Handmaid's Tale that I also think are very important. So feel free to check out that blog post too if you found my video to be too rambling-y. Let me know what some of your favorite Handmaid's Tale quotes are down below in the comments, because I am all for talking about The Handmaid's Tale. And let me know if you've started watching season 2 of The Handmaid's Tale as well. I will see you in some of the video very shortly, I'm sure, and until then, as always, stay classic.
Sit there and count your little fingers. Unhappy little girl blue.